Hello everyone. Today I'm going to look at a very important area of PfSense, a very powerful area, and that's the packages area, where we can install additional functionality to the PfSense, either the embedded solution or the full install. Right now, we're running a full install inside of a VMware virtual machine. My last video, I showed you how to do redundant or have set up multiple WAN connections, so we can see that everything's up. And today we're going to set up the a common package, which is the Squid proxy, HTTP proxy. Now, what this is going to do is this is going to improve the web browsing experience for the end user by caching frequently accessed items and feeding them to the user from the cache locally, instead of going out to the internet. This is particularly useful if, for example, let's say you have 50 users or 100 users, and their home page is set to an external website, such as MSN or Yahoo or something like that. Every time the user opens their browser up, it's going to pull that page, go out to the internet and pull that page. This will help reduce that. If there's a page that's frequently accessed by your organization, it'll improve the end user experience as far as speed of loading the web page. And so it's a very useful package. So we can look at our package manager. If I click on System and then Packages, I can see that I don't have any packages currently installed. So I'm going to go to the Available Packages tab. I'll left click that. And pay close attention here, because this page will show you both the status and the platform. Okay, this is important. We're running 2.0, 2.01. So, for example, the asterisk package is for our platform, but the AnyTerm package is not. It's for 1.2.3. Secondly, if this is being used in a production environment, also note the status of the package itself, such as beta, which beta means it's not a complete feature complete product. It may contain some known issues. Alpha is the stage before beta, so that's a very young package, and hasn't gone through a whole lot of development. So in the status category, make sure you check that out, and then you get a useful description of what everything does. The country block is another interesting one. That's not for our platform now. All right, so we're gonna go, and I'm gonna look for Squid. Okay. And here I can see Squid, the high performance web proxy cache, and I can see that the package available to me is the stable version, and it's for platform 2, which is our platform. There's also a Squid 3, but again, that's beta, but it is for our platform. But we're going to use this for the purposes of this video. We're going to use this in production, so we want to go with a stable release. We don't want to take any chances. We want to go with the stable release of Squid. So I'm going to go ahead and click the plus sign to add this package, and then it's going to, of course, ask me to confirm you really want to install this package. I'm going to say OK. And it's going to go out to PfSense and grab this package for me. And it's going to go ahead and install it. Now, this can take a few minutes depending on your hardware, the amount of memory it has, your internet connection speed, because it is going out to PfSense and downloading the package. So for the purpose of this video, I'm going to go ahead and pause here and wait until the package's install is complete, and then I'll come back to you. Okay, we're back. The installation has completed. It went through, and we can see that there were some prerequisites or some dependencies that it also needed, so it went out and grabbed those as well. And I got the message installation completed. Please check to make sure the package is configured from the respective menu, then start the package. Okay, so now the first thing I'm going to do is go to install packages, and I can see that my Squid package is installed. Okay, now I have my package installed, and I've added some rules here to block HTTP and HTTPS from getting out. So if a user doesn't have the proxy configured on their system, they're not going to be able to get out. I've already gone into packages, just to recap, and I've installed Squid. So now I'm going to configure Squid by going to Services and Proxy Server. And for the sake of the length of this video, I've gone ahead and already set the configuration with my options. So I'm just going to go through and kind of recap. Proxy interface. This is the interface the proxy will bind to. This is the LAN interface. We want it to be accessible from the LAN interface. Allow users. Yeah, we want to allow the users to get on there. Transparent mode, no. We don't want transparent mode. One of the disadvantages of transparent mode is if you decide to install Squid Guard, which is a content filter. When operating in transparent mode, you will not be able to redirect them to a custom error page. Also, this gives you more control over devices. So if somebody just comes in and plugs a device into your network, they're not going to be able to go right out and access the internet. They're going to have to come to you, the network administrator, the network engineer, and or they're going to call the help desk and say, "Hey, I can't access the internet." Logging. Again, if you want to log all the access, you can enable that. I'm not going to enable that. In certain types of organizations, you may be required by certain laws to enable logging of what people are doing and where they're going. If you do enable that, well, first of all, if you're going to run Squid within PfSense, and you're going to enable logging, I highly recommend that you do it on a full installation and not an embedded installation, because you're going to have to keep constant watch on the log files. I can set a rotation, 7 days, 30 days, what have you, but that doesn't mean the log file is going to be deleted. As far as I know, I mean, this is when you say rotation, that's going to stop logging to one file and then start a new log file. So if you have it set to 1 week, it's gonna log everything for 1 week. It's gonna when the new week starts, it's gonna start a new log file, and it's gonna stop logging to the old file. So, you know, you may want to check into you're gonna have to keep an eye on the logs directory. Disk space may be an issue, unless the developers have changed something and set it to automatically purge the log file after the rotation date. But that, based on the language, that doesn't appear to be the case. So typically, unless you're required to, it adds overhead. I leave logging off. Proxy port is 3128. ICP port we're going to leave blank. This is if we have an upstream proxy server or a neighbor proxy server. We don't have that in this case, so we're not going to touch that. Visible host name and administrator email. This is the information that's going to be displayed when the user gets an error from the proxy server. So basically, I just called it web cache, and I put in support@nobluescreen.com as the administrator email. So that's what's going to show up on the error page, is if the user receives an error from the proxy. Language English. Xforward and VIA, don't disable them unless you have a specific reason to disable them. As far as whitespace characters in the URI, we're going to stick with RFC 2396, which is the default, is to strip. Alternate DNS servers for the proxy servers, exactly what it says. If you have handout addresses via DHCP and you want the proxy server to use different DNS servers than what's handed out by DHCP, or different than what's defined in your interfaces configuration or your DNS configuration, you can specify that here. You know, I'm not going to do anything with that. I'm going to leave that the same. I would only suggest putting alternate DNS servers here if you find that your existing DNS servers are becoming overloaded. Suppress Squid version, we're going to go ahead and do that. The user, they don't care what version we're running, so there's no need to show that to them. My opinion, by default, that is not checked off, but I've gone ahead and checked that off. Okay. Upstream proxy, we have no upstream proxy. If we did, we could enable forwarding and specify the information for the upstream proxy. Cache management. I've gone ahead and set this up. The default is 100 megabyte for the cache size. I have a 60 gig disk, so I've gone ahead and set this to 600 megabyte. I've chosen the hard disk cache system. I've chosen to leave that as the default, which is UFS. Cache location is the default, which is var squid cache. Memory cache size I've changed from the default, which is 8 megabyte, to 64 megabyte. It should not exceed 50% of the installed RAM. I have 256, so that's 25% of my installed RAM. And if you're running this on a VM and you have memory ballooning, I mean, you can even increase this, and it shouldn't affect performance of your firewall. If you're running embedded, you probably want to leave that lower. You probably want to leave that at 32 meg or less. Recommended to leave it at 8, depending on the size of your CF card. Maximum object size, default is 4 kilobyte. I've chosen to be a little more liberal, and I'm going to allow objects up to 64 megabyte in size to be stored in cache. Maximum object size in RAM, default is 32 kilobyte. So nothing larger than that is going to be stored in RAM. I've upped that to 8 megabyte, or 8,192 kilobyte. So we'll get a little bit larger. And level 1 subdirectories, I don't adjust this. Certain conditions, you may want to mess with this. In most cases, you're not going to need to worry about this. It can has the potential to adversely affect performance of the proxy. The default memory replacement policy is heap GDSF, which is greedy dual size frequency. The problem I have with that is it evicts larger items. I want to catch some larger items. So, like, if people are downloading Flash player updates, things of that nature, I want to be able to cache those updates so that my system is not going out and re-downloading that update for every client that requests it. So I've chosen to go with heap LFUDA. And there's an explanation there. Cache replacement policy is also heap LFUDA, which is the default. The low watermark in and high watermark in percentages, 90 to 95%. I typically leave them the same. If you don't want to cache things, from a certain domain or certain IP address, you can enter that here, and the proxy server will not cache for those items that are specified there. Enable offline mode. If there's no internet connection, and it has what's requested in cache, it'll feed it to the user. I don't want to do that, so I'm gonna leave that off, or I've left that off. Access control. By default, the subnet for your LAN is automatically allowed. If you have multiple subnets, they should also be allowed if you select the LAN interface, and they're assigned to the LAN interface. But otherwise, you can specify subnets that are allowed to use. If you have certain subnets that you don't want to use the proxy, you can enter them here, and they'll be, you know, blocked from using the proxy or accessing the internet. There's whitelist and a blacklist. External cache managers. I'm really not going to do too much with access control. I'm not looking to control access any further at this point. I have one subnet on my LAN that's already allowed by the fact that I've chosen to bind it to the LAN interface. Traffic management. I can set a bunch of different things here. I can throttle things. Again, I'm not looking to do that. You know, if you have people that are downloading movies, or if you have certain file types that are frequently downloaded, but you want to put a limit on so it doesn't hog up all the bandwidth, you can set those here, and you can set the extensions of files that will be throttled. You can do a per host throttle. I'm not going to do any of that here. If things become problematic, I will adjust to those, and I may choose to implement that later. Authentication method. This is if you want users to. If you want to require users to authenticate in order to use the proxy. I'm going to leave this off. But you can set this to on. You can use LDAP, radius, NT domain, and pretty much all the standard. You can use local as well. You can define a local list of users, which is over here. So I'm not going to do any of that. I'm just gonna set it up so that they have to go through the proxy. So again, that pretty much sums it up. You're going to want to go to, after you set all your options the way you want them, you want to go to Status, Services, and notice my Squid proxy server service is running. This may or may not be necessary, but I like to stop the service and then, or restart the service, excuse me. I like to restart the service once I've done all my configuration. So again, let's go back to the rules for the LAN interface. We want our block rules above our allow rules. This is the anti-lockout rules, so don't pay attention to that. Because the rules are applied in the order in which they are listed. So any block rules should always be listed before allow rules. So if it doesn't meet any of the blocks that we put in place, it's going to be allowed out. Unless you have a restrictive egress, in which case you'll only allow certain things to go out, and everything will be blocked by default. That's outside the scope of this video. So in any event, I blocked 80 and 443, which is HTTP and HTTPS. I've got MSN.com up. I'm using Firefox. I've got my proxy server manually configured. But let's say I'm a user that brings my personal computer in. Let's say no proxy. I'm going to try to click on something here. And as you can see, I've gone to click on Hotmail, and I'm not able to get to Hotmail because my firewall is not going to allow me to go out to the internet because I'm not using the proxy. So again, I can verify this by going to trying to go to Google. Okay, and we'll stop that for now. So I'm going to go into Options, Settings, and Manual Proxy Configuration. Obviously, if you want to do this by DNS, you know, you can do that. You can use a proxy audit discovery file, and so on. It's outside the scope of this video, so I'm not going to cover that. I'm going to do a manual configuration, and I'm going to use the same proxy for all protocols. Now let's try to click on Hotmail. And as you can see, now that I'm using the proxy, I'm able to get to Hotmail. So what's going on is the user is going to have to have that proxy manually configured on their machine in order to access the internet. So if somebody comes in and plugs in a device, they're not going to be able to get to the internet unless they have that proxy information configured in their device. Again, so that's what we're focusing on here. If you have transparent mode enabled, no configuration of the browser is required. All traffic and no block rules are required. All traffic is going to be pushed through the proxy. But for security purposes, I don't like to do transparent proxy. I like to do it the old-fashioned way. But in a nutshell, this is how you configure your Squid proxy. Again, this is a full installation of PfSense. You may want to, just depending on the size of your organization, this is going to put additional load on the firewall. So if you're running an embedded solution, you have to consider storage, the amount of storage that you have. Typically 1, 2, or 4 gigabyte compact flash cards are what's used for embedded installations, and usually the hardware has 128, 256, or 512 in memory. So you're gonna be restricted. You may want to think twice about running it on the firewall. You can also run a Squid proxy server as a standalone, and then just block this and set it up on a different machine. But in any event, this is how you use a proxy, and it's very useful because it's gonna, if Adobe releases a Flash Player update or an Adobe Reader update, as long as that file is 64 meg or smaller, the proxy server is going to grab it, cache it, and then only one user is going to go out and download that file over the internet connection. All subsequent users are going to grab it from the cache. So it's not going to, if I have 20 machines or 50 machines that are trying to update the Flash Player, it's not going to bog down my connection. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to contact me, Ken at nobluescreen.com. visit us at nobluescreen.com and either call or email us and let us know how we can help meet your IT needs. We'd be more than happy to assist you. Again, we offer installation support as well as pre-configured virtual machines. We can help with installation and tailoring of the PfSense product to your specific environment. Once again, thank you for watching.